Hey guys, what's going on? Appreciate you checking it out. It's been a minute. I've just been kind of going through a mental funk lately and just haven't been super motivated to make anything. And that's kind of the prompt for this video. Is I wanted to talk about anxiety and depression, and more specifically methods that I've found and try to work on how to cope with living with those things. So yeah, let's not waste any time and let's get right into it. I want to start off and explain my issues. My anxiety, a lot of it is social anxiety. It manifests itself as irritability and kind of being standoffish. The more overwhelmed with anxiety I get, the more I kind of just tend to withdraw into myself, and I definitely get a lot shorter of a temper whenever I'm dealing with these things. And then my issues with depression, it kind of manifests itself as just fatigue and looks like laziness. I just an overwhelming sense of not being able to do anything, even though I know I need to, and there's things I want to do and have to do, but I just end up sitting in bed and there's nothing I can really do about it in my head. So I have to kind of figure out ways to force myself to get out of that. And I also want to clarify that these are just things that are personal to me and things that I struggle with, and I know for a fact that they're not as severe as a lot of things that other people deal with, and everybody's mental health is different. Everybody reacts to things differently and handles things differently. So when it comes to talking about these things, make sure that we don't judge other people based on like, oh, well, they haven't gone through this, so they don't have the right to be like this, and just understand that everybody goes through things differently and handles things differently, and everybody's brain reacts to things in different ways. So starting off, I have a lot of unhealthy coping mechanisms. One of the biggest ones is sarcasm. Anybody who knows me, my friends and family, will be able to tell you that I definitely tend to rely on kind of a dry sense of humor, and it kind of gives myself a distance from people that kind of keeps them at a safe distance and safe emotional distance. I have an avoidant personality, so whenever I feel myself getting attached to people, I tend to use this dry sense of humor and sarcasm to kind of keep them at bay. Shopping is a big, bad habit of mine. Whenever I'm getting in these mental funks, one of the first things I turn to is online shopping, or going to the stores, and just any kind of shopping. Any way I can blow through the money that I have, which is not very much, I'm all about it. And then, like I mentioned earlier, it's just laziness and lethargy. I just get in this funk and I just can't do anything. That's why I haven't made a video in probably a month, if not more. Just can't get myself to do stuff that I need to do. Hey, what's up guys? So this is take 2 of this video, because in the middle of what I was hoping to be a one-take style video, my camera decided to have a brain fart, and the last 10 minutes of the video looked like this. So, after about 3 weeks of avoiding doing this again, I decided to do it. So, getting into my 6 coping methods, mechanisms, coping tips and tricks for dealing with these mental health issues, namely anxiety and depression. First one, and without a doubt the most important, is prayer and spending time with God and making sure relationship with Him is on par. This is something I haven't really touched on too much in my videos up to this point, because I was hesitant to kind of put myself in the Christian bubble. You know, once you get in it, you can't really ever get out, it seems like. But after reflecting on that decision, I kind of realized it was a foolish one, because the relationship with Christ is something that's the most important thing in my life. And it really is the one thing that kind of helps me deal with these issues more than anything, and it's the reason that I'm still here today. So yeah, first and most important thing, pray and spend time with God and have a relationship with Christ. Second tip, focus on what you're grateful for. I saw a quote when I was writing this video out. I can't remember who said it or where I read it, but it said, focus on what's present, not what's absent from your life. And that was kind of a powerful thing for me, because so often, like I mentioned, I have a shopping addiction. I'm always looking at things that I don't have and how can I get this, how can I get this, and it just kind of makes you feel like there's something missing from your life. But if you focus on all the wonderful things like this full closet behind me, this awesome room and house that I've been blessed with, and countless other things that I'm beyond grateful for, focusing on all those things will really go a long way in kind of making you feel more content, and that'll help stem off some of the anxiety and depression. Third thing is quieting the imaginary audience in my brain. This is a term I learned in one of my psych classes in college. So imaginary audience is basically that feeling that is really a big part of social anxiety, where when you're walking around doing everyday things, you feel like everybody's watching you and thinking about you and talking about you, and it just, for me personally, I feel like this everywhere I go. Like, everybody's looking at me, and this kind of ties into my last video of I'm only the main character in my own life movie. Like, nobody else really gives two thoughts about what you're doing or what I'm doing. If I'm at the store shopping, nobody's looking at me, watching me. Like, no one cares. And the more you can kind of consciously tell your brain to switch off that imaginary audience, it'll go a long way in helping your anxiety, hopefully. Fourth thing, again, kind of touching back on my last video, if you haven't watched it, go check it out, is lower your expectations of people in life. I feel like for me, a lot of times I have these really lofty, romantic ideas of life and people and what I deserve or expect from them, which I don't deserve anything. None of us do. And lowering those expectations, not to a point of being pessimistic, which is a really easy trap to fall in, especially for people like me, but just kind of lowering your expectations to be a little bit more realistic about life and other people and where they're at and where you're at, again, will go a long way in quelling the kind of downer, depression type moments where you feel like you aren't getting what you want out of people or out of life, and just lower your expectations. Fifth thing, be active, don't be idle. I know it's kind of tricky right now with where everybody's at, but for me, like creating things like this YouTube video, that I think part of the reason I was in such a mental funk is just because I haven't been able to do photos very often. I haven't been making YouTube videos, which I should have been. For me, working out's a big thing. Playing soccer any chance I get, because that's been a huge part of my life. Just finding those things that bring you joy, make you happy, and just get you out doing things, whether it's making things, working on things, doing a job or whatever. Like, getting out, getting active will get you out of your own head and will let you have less time to sit there and think about all these things that just kind of trip your mind out. So take action and don't be idle. And number 6 is kind of, might sound contradictory to number 5, but let yourself rest. Let yourself be able to spend time doing things that make you happy. Like for me, listening to music is something that I get a lot of enjoyment out of. Movies, I can sit down for 6 hours a day and just watch movies all day. That's not healthy, but video games, whatever it is, whatever that restful activity is for you, where you can just kind of unplug, switch your mind off, and just kind of refresh yourself, refresh your mind. Don't be afraid to do that. Like, you want to be active, you want to avoid being idle, but resting is very beneficial for your mental health. And then lastly, kind of a little bonus tip thing is essential oils. And my parents and my sisters are big on the essential oils and whatever. I'm not a huge oil person or whatever, like whatever. I think it's just kind of a placebo, but it is a placebo. I mean, if you put a few of those, a bunch of different like mixtures and stuff, and you can find ones that cheer you up or keep you motivated or whatever. If that helps you out, then great. I know sometimes for me, just having that placebo effect really goes a long way. And don't roast me in the comments about whether or not oils work, because I really don't care. So yeah, those are my 6.5 kind of tips on dealing with anxiety and dealing with depression. If you watched it this far, I really appreciate you. Click the subscribe button. If you're not, hit the thumbs up, give it a like, drop a comment, let me know things that work for you. If you got anything out of this, if you want to add anything to this, let's just make it an open discussion about mental health because it's really important and that's the only way you can ever really grow from it. So appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.